just made it to the lodge. I'm gonna play on their 2-5-10 live stream or 5-5-10. I don't know. Either way, it's gonna be a big game. See you guys in there. Here to play on the lodge live stream. We're playing, what are we playing? 5-5?
5-5-10.
5-5-10 with Ethan, the live stream legend. I'm also here playing on the stream with Miss Q, the legend, the queen. We're gonna have some fun. Are you excited?
Let's get it.
We're here to play some 5-5-10 with a $10 Big Blind Ante Match the Stack No Limit Hold'em. This game is going to get big. There's going to be a lot of straddles for 25, 50, 100, and more. Going to be playing against Chaz, Boston Jimmy, Cam, Miss Q, Ethan, and some other tough players. Let's get into the hands. So in hand number 4, there's the 5-5-10 $25 straddle on, and it folds to Jimmy on the button, and he raises to $75. Folds to me, and I look down at pocket jacks in the third blind. And this hand, button versus big blind, is going to be a 3-bet for many reasons. First off, Jimmy's button raising range is going to be very wide, and so we want to raise for value. Another great incentive for raising here is Jimmy is going to flat the button wider than normal because he has position, so we're going to get a lot worse hands to call here. We're going to pick a little bit bigger of a sizing being out of position, so I 3-bet to $285. Back around to Jimmy, and he's going to let this one go, and so we pick up our first pot here on this 5-5-10 Match the Stack. Not a ton to talk about in this hand, but I raise ace-10 offsuit in the hijack. Kenan decides to 3-bet the button with a beautiful hand, 8-7 of clubs, and then Jimmy wakes up with a hand. He has ace-queen suited, so he puts in the cold 4. I wanted to note that if Jimmy didn't end up waking up with a hand here, we could definitely take our ace-10 suiteds and turn them into a 4-bet a pretty decent chunk of the time, about 60% of the time. The other 40%, we're going to play this hand through a call, so I just thought I'd note that unfortunately we have a hand that we can't continue with, and it's just a pure fold even against a 3-bet from the 8-7 of spades on the button. But in this case, Jimmy does wake up with the hand, and we're going to toss ours into the muck. In this hand, the 5-5-10 $25 straddle is on. It folds to me on the button, and I have king 8 of spades, definitely a slam dunk open here, so I make it $75. Folds to Big Daddy Chaz in the straddle, and he says, alright Ash, I'll play one with you, but he actually has a very good hand here, ace-10 offsuit in the straddle, so we're going heads up to a flop. The flop is ace, queen, king with 2 clubs, so we flop ourselves second pair here. He checks it over to us. So we have to evaluate what portion of our range is betting on this board, and while we can deny equity from some hands, our hand does fall kind of in the middle here, and our hand is very hard to improve. We can only really improve if we hit an 8 or a king, while the board can get very bad for us if, for example, another queen comes, a 10, a jack, another ace, all those cards we really don't love to see, as well as any club. So when he checks, we're going to check here and evaluate the turn. The turn is a 7 of clubs, bringing in the club flush. He checks it over to me yet again, and now I think I can start going for some value. We can get value from a naked club draw, hands that contain a jack in them for a gut shot straight, and at this point I think we can get looked up by a queen or a 7, so I put in the half pot bet of $90. Chaz makes the call. Since Chaz defended his straddle, and we know he defends really wide, he can have any 2 cards here. So the river is the 9 of spades. He checks it over to me, and now I'm going to be very happy to show down my pair of kings. Unfortunately, he just has a great hand. He had ace-10 offsuit, so he's going to scoop this one, but I think we played it pretty decently to maximize value as well as lose the minimum when we're beat on a board like this. In this hand, we get to play a pot against Boston Jimmy, and he is such a kind guy, so fun to hang out with and talk with. Can't wait to collab with him in the future. So he raises it up to $80, and it folds to me in the third blind, and I look down at ace-king of clubs. We're definitely 3-betting this one, and since we're in the blinds, we're out of position, we can go for a polarized sizing, which we would do with some of our suited wheel hands as a polarizing bluff, but here we actually have it. So I'm gonna raise to $325. I don't know what Jimmy has, obviously, but I'm willing and ready to get it in if we have to, but he actually has a very good hand flat with here with king queen of hearts in position, so he makes the call and we head to a flop. The flop is Jack 10-5 with 2 diamonds. On this board, I have slight nut advantage in the sense of I think I have more overpairs than he does because I would expect him to 4-bet aces, kings, and probably queens, but we can both have sets on this board. He can have more draws with a hand kind of exactly like he has, which is king-queen. He can also have hands like ace-10 suited, ace-jack suited, and some smaller pocket pairs. So my hand with no backdoor flush draw possibilities, I would prefer there to be a club on this board before I start barreling. So with my hand, I can kind of go either way. I can play it as a semi-bluff and start start betting, or I can check and evaluate the turn. So with my exact hand, it's about a 50-50 here between checking or betting. My hand would be playing as a semi-bluff as I have a gut shot to the nuts and 2 overcards. I also don't have a diamond in my hand, so I unblock flush draws and would hate to see a diamond on the turn. So I decide to check, and let's head to a turn card. The turn is the 3 of clubs. He checks to me again, and now I think I have a lot of showdown value here. I'm not sure I want to start putting a ton of money in this pot. I can start betting for denial, but I decide to check, and we head to a river card, which is another 5. He checks yet again, and now I definitely don't see the point in betting, because are we really going to get called by something worse than ace high? So I put in the check, and we are happy to take this hand as showdown at this point in this pretty inflated 3-bet pot, and he shows king queen, so he actually flopped a big hand, and if I would have bet, we definitely would have seen some fireworks, and I would have been in a very tough spot. In this hand, you will find us deep into the stand-up game. The stand-up game is basically everybody has to stand up, and if you win a hand, you have to show your cards and then you get to sit down. The last person to sit has to pay the table $25 each, so in this case, it's a cool $200 the loser has to pay. I lost this game one other time at the lodge, not having the best luck in this game, so I am hoping that I cannot be the last person standing. So deep into the stand-up game here, and I have had a few failed attempts at trying to win a pot, so now Kenan raises the hijack with king jack. Jason calls in the big blind because he doesn't want to lose the game because him and I are the last ones standing. I have 9-8 off and I'm not going anywhere considering I can't let Jason win this hand, so we're heading to a flop. The flop is 7 queen jack rainbow, and this board is doing absolutely nothing for my hand unless I hit a 10. The flop actually checks around. The turn is an 8, so now I have a pair and I'm feeling hopeful. Jason leads for $100. I probably can't win this hand by just calling down. I'm blocking the nut straight, and I have a pair which blocks a set of 8s, so I thought it was a good enough reason to put in a raise here to $300. Good news is, this raise got the best hand to fold as Kenan folds king jack, and now it's back on Jason. He thinks for a little bit and he's not a believer just yet, so he makes the call. The river is an offsuit 3, which is a complete blank. He checks it over to me, and now I have a decision on my hands. I know if I want to get this through, being that we're the last 2 standing in this game, I'm gonna have to make a very big sizing. I also kind of leveled myself here as I knew he knew that we both didn't want to lose the game, so I also thought I had a lot less fold equity given that we are both trying really hard to not lose this game. So for all those reasons, I decided to check it back. Jason wins, and unfortunately I have to pay the table $25 each. We talked about the hand later, and I asked if I would have jammed if he would have called, and he said he probably would have, given that he knew that we were both trying to win the game. So I'm not sure I would have got it through, to be honest, or it would have been a very difficult decision for him. I didn't want to risk my stack in that spot and try to take my showdown value, but we'll have to move on to the next one.
Ash is the last one standing, and she's going to pay the tax to everyone.
I need some greens.
She needs some greens.
Wow, you're sick, New Hampshire. Call me with a jack,
If
huh?
I bet 700 on the river, you call
I
me?
definitely think about it.
You bet think about it. It's not much.
You bet 1200 or you win.
$25 for you. $25 for you.
In this hand, it's 5-5-10, and Jason raises it up in early position with 10-7 of diamonds. I'm in the hijack and look down at king-queen offsuit. While I can flat here, I would love to get out the tough opponents to my left and get this pot heads up, so I decide to 3-bet. I want to make it a little bit bigger for the reasons I just stated, so I make it $160. Folds back around to Jason, and he doesn't want to let his hand go just yet, so he makes the call, and we go heads up to a flop. The flop is 9-10 queen rainbow, so we flop ourselves top pair with a king kicker and a gut shot straight draw. He checks it over to me, and I can mix between betting or checking here. I think it's about 50-50 in this spot. My hand does want to go for value and get called by worse, so I put out a bet of $125. Jason makes the call, so we head to a turn, which is an offsuit 6, so now the board is completely rainbow. He checks it over to me, and once again, my hand can go either way, although I think I should have leaned more towards betting here. We can get a lot of value from worse straight draws and worse pairs, but nevertheless, I did decide to check, and so we head to a river card, which is the jack of clubs, so our hand does improve to a king high straight, but it's also a little bit of an action killer because it brings 4 to a straight on the board. Jason checks it over, and of course I'm gonna go for value with my straight. I bet $250, and unfortunately and pretty quickly he lets his hand go, but we do take down the pot. Alright, I hope you guys are ready for the funnest hand of the stream for me. There's the $25 straddle on, so it's 5-5-10-10-25, and it folds to me in the cutoff, and I look down at 7-8 of hearts. Really beautiful hand. It folds around to Cam, and he decides to put in a 3-bet to $300. Cam is a very solid player. I know he's extremely capable. While he can have nutted hands here, he can also have hands just like he has in this spot with King Jack offsuit. So I think my hand still fares well in position post flop against his 3-bet range. So I'm gonna flat and head to a flop. By the way, Cam commentated on a vlog that's coming out next week in one of the sickest hands and the biggest hero call spot I've ever been in my life, so stay tuned next week. You're not going to want to miss that vlog, and Cam did an incredible job commentating on the TCH Austin live stream. The flop is a pretty interesting one. It's 996 with 1 heart. So we flop ourselves an open ender and a backdoor flush draw. Cam has me covered, and on this type of board, it's a very monotone, not very connected board, and I know he's gonna put in a bet, but he does go a little bit on the larger side and puts out a continuation bet of $300. I decided the best play here would be to flat. I don't love that the board is paired, although I don't think it's gonna hurt the situation too much. So I make the call, planning to do some things if the turn is a heart, and depending on what Cam does on the turn, we might be able to make a move here and get it through and get all of his worst hands, his bluffs, his ace highs to fold. Well, the poker gods heard my plans because they put out the Queen of Hearts. Cam puts out a pretty chunky bet of $700. Now the action's on me, and I need to count my stack and figure out exactly how much I have behind. I needed to know if I shove here, if I can get a lot of his hands to fold. Obviously, he's not going to fold aces, kings, and if he has queens, well, rest in peace to my stack. I thought for quite a while before coming to the conclusion of even if he has an overpair, I'm still going to be in pretty good shape against those with my open ender and my flush draw, hoping that he doesn't have hearts, of course. Besides, I have 8 high at this point, so this is a perfect hand to turn into a semi-bluff, try to get his hands to fold.
Cameron trying to make something happen here. Ash combo draw, open-ended with the flush draw, going nowhere. The wager's $700, but it's king high versus 8 high. So if a brick falls on the river, we could have quite the interesting hand developing here. Poker face Ash here counting up her stack, only has about 2,000 behind, so she might just even rip it right now.
So let's stick it in. Let's go all in for $2,000. Thankfully, Cam can't do much here with this king high. He does have a gut shot, so he did ask for a count, but it was just too much for him to continue in this spot. So we take down a very sizable pot with the 8-7 of hearts and got my first turn bluff, semi-bluff shove through at higher stakes, and man, it felt freaking good. In this hand, it's 5-10 with a $10 ante, and I straddle for 20, and the hijack Kennen raises with pocket nines to $70. Boston Jimmy makes the call with king queen of diamonds in the small blind, and now it folds to me in my straddle, and I'm super happy to peel here with my ace-6 of clubs, so let's see a flop. The flop is deuce 6-7 with 2 hearts, so we flop ourselves middle pair with ace kicker. I check it over to the pre-flop raiser, but Kennen decides to check. Jimmy also checks, so we head to a turn, and I absolutely drill it. It's the 6 of diamonds.
Gonna happen. Another 6 for Ash.
Boston Jimmy had a deal going with the dealer that any jack of spades or 6 of diamonds that appears on the board, and he gives the dealer $25. So that's why everybody was cheering in this hand. Boston Jimmy then says, well, since I lost the $25 to the dealer, I got a bluff to get it back. So he bets $175. While I can certainly raise here, I don't want worse hands to fold, and I also want to keep Kennen in with all of his hands. So I do flat, and Kennen also flats with his overpair. So we're going 3 ways to a river card. The river is the 4 of diamonds, not really a huge game changer card. Jimmy checks, and now I have to put out a bet. I can't let this one check through. I decided on a bet size of $280 because in this spot, Kennen totally underreps his hand. If he would have bet the flop, I would have thought he had pocket 8s or 9s, even 10s in his range. But because he checked the flop, I really didn't think I could get called by much in this spot. So anyway, he does indeed make the call. I gave him a great price to do so with his overpair, and Boston Jimmy, of course, puts in the fold, and we scoop a very, very nice $1,300 pot. In this hand, the 5-5-10-10 $25 $50 straddle is on, and it folds to Q on the button, and she has pocket 10s, and she raises to $200. I'm next to act in the small blind and look down at ace king of hearts. What a beautiful hand. And I look at Q's stack, and she only has about 1,400 behind. Normally I'd go for like a standard 3x sizing here, but I want to leverage stacks and ultimately be fine if we get this all in pre-flop.
Ace king for Ash. We haven't seen these two tango yet. Battle of Ash versus Q. We've been waiting for it, and the time is here, the time is now.
So I raised to $800. We thought for quite a while and then ended up putting in the fold, so we end up scooping a very nice pot, picking up the raise and the straddles and all the dead money. By the way, if you guys haven't yet, make sure you check out Miss Q's vlog on YouTube. It's P's and Q's. Go check it out. This hand was a very weird one. Boston Jimmy puts on the $200 straddle, and well, I'm just gonna let you guys watch this clip.
Line still, I haven't looked. Oh yeah. Here we go. We get the 3
Kings
second pause.
versus
4,
tens.
5.
Efan in good shape, electing on a 3 betting size. Probably gonna make it about.
Bang comes the yellow.
Oh, he's going massive. Goes
Yo.
1100. Really, really large.
Yo, 11.
$200 straddle wasn't a call from Ash, so the raise from Efan makes sense. Oh, she's out of there.
So pocket
Let's see
tens
this one.
fold
Come on.
2 hands in a row. Q did it,
Ace queen is
and
good.
Ash did it.
Kings!
Oh my god, you'll never believe what I just
How do you get kings?
Holy
God, it's so lucky.
yeah, it's what? I tens. Wow.
Yeah, 10-10? Wow. Wow.
Ash is loving that fold now.
Ethan had been playing super tight the whole night and running so good, and call it intuition, call it what you want, but I just thought that he had a monster hand right there, and I'm so glad I folded and got out of there unscathed. In this hand, I have a poker player sad bad beat story where I raise to $60, get 3 callers from the loosest, craziest players at the table, and I flop middle set on a super wet and dynamic board, c-bet, and everybody folds. While of course I'm joking, it does suck to flop such a monster hand and not get any extra value, but at least our hand held and we move on and win the pot. So after that hand, it's gonna wrap up this amazing 4-hour live stream at the Lodge Poker Club in Austin, Texas, and I had an absolute blast on this stream. I felt comfortable, felt like I didn't play scared, played my game, made some moves, and overall booked a very nice win. So I ended the stream with a nice, healthy profit. And if you're wondering what I use to track my poker stats, I use Poker Analytics. It's a very clean and intuitive app that makes tracking and logging all your poker stats extremely easy. It also makes it very easy to customize filters so you can really dive deep into your stats. So make sure you check it out. There will be a link in the description below and at the top right of the screen right now. So go ahead and click on it and start using the best poker tracking app there is.
All right, well, that was a really fun stream. Huge difference between my first time playing this stream and today. I felt like I played without fear, made a few bad folds, but who doesn't? Anyway, we were in the game for $4,000, cashed out with $5,300 for a profit of $1,300. So if you guys enjoyed the vlog, would you do me a huge favor and go all in and like, comment, and subscribe? It would mean the world to me. We are just getting started. I have so many exciting things coming up that I'm excited to share with you guys. So it's only up from here. I'll see you guys next time.